Hey everyone and welcome. Today we're going to dive into one of the most powerful and I mean truly dangerous political ideas of the 20th century. We're going to see how one simple word, liberty, can actually mean two completely different things, and how one of those meanings, even though it sounds so noble, has been twisted time and time again to justify absolute tyranny.
Okay, so let's just jump right in with a puzzle that has frankly haunted modern history. We've all seen this story play out, right? A revolution kicks off, promising this new, perfect kind of freedom for everyone. But somehow it ends with secret police, prison camps, and total control. How on earth does that happen? How does the road to freedom so often lead to the exact opposite?
Well, the whole paradox, the whole trap, hinges on what we actually mean when we say we want to be free. It turns out that single word is like a coin with two sides, and those two sides have been at war with each other for centuries.
And the person who just brilliantly broke all this down for us was the philosopher Sir Isaiah Berlin. Now, this guy wasn't just some academic in an ivory tower. He lived through the absolute ideological chaos of the 20th century, and he made it his life's mission to figure out how to defend real, individual freedom from these grand utopian promises that kept going so wrong.
I mean, just get a picture of his life. Born in Latvia, he actually witnessed the Russian Revolution as a boy before his family moved to Britain. So he saw firsthand how these huge movements, fascism, communism, came to power promising total liberation and instead delivered total oppression. So, writing right in the thick of the Cold War, he asked why. And his answer pretty much changed political philosophy forever.
All right, so Berlin says there are two paths, two completely different concepts of liberty. Let's start with the first one, the one that's probably the most straightforward, the one most of us think of when we hear the word.
He called this negative liberty. The easiest way to think about it is like an open road in front of you. Freedom, in this sense, isn't about where you're going or what your purpose is. It's just about the simple fact that no one is physically blocking your way. It is freedom from interference.
So the whole point of this idea is to draw a line in the sand, to create a protected bubble around every single person. A private sphere where you can think what you want, say what you want, and do what you want without the government or anyone else telling you what to do. The bigger that bubble of non-interference is, the more negative liberty you have. Simple as that.
Okay, but that's just one side of the coin. There's another, much more ambitious and maybe more inspiring idea of what it means to be free. It's not just about being left alone, it's about being the master of your own destiny. And this is positive liberty. And here, the central question totally shifts. It's not how much open road do I have, it's who's in the driver's seat. See, it's not enough for the road to be clear. You have to be the one steering the car, making your own rational decisions about where to go. You want to be the captain of your own ship.
This is the freedom to do something. The freedom to become your best self. To live a life that's guided by reason and not just, by your worst impulses. So you have freedom from interference on one hand, and the freedom to be your own master on the other. I mean, both sound fantastic, right? What could possibly go wrong?
Well, this is where Berlin pulls back the curtain and shows us the hidden trap. He shows how that incredibly inspiring ideal of self-mastery can have a secret trap door that leads somewhere, somewhere truly terrifying. And this is the absolute core of his argument. The danger starts when we do something that feels kind of natural. We split ourselves in two. You've got your everyday self, the one who's lazy, who eats that extra slice of cake, who makes mistakes. And then you've got your true self, your higher self, the ideal version of you that knows what's best in the long run.
And you can probably see the slippery slope from here. Once you accept that there's a higher and lower you, some outside authority, a state, a party, a leader, can come along and say, hey, your everyday self is a mess, but we know what your true self really wants. And then comes the chilling conclusion. So when we force you to obey us, we're not actually oppressing you. No. We are liberating your higher self from your lower self. We are in fact forcing you to be free.
And just like that, the beautiful quest for self-mastery gets completely hijacked. Oppression gets rebranded as liberation. Your actual, individual, real-world choices are just brushed aside as irrational, and the will of the state gets presented as your own true will. For Berlin, this wasn't some abstract theory. This was the terrifying logic used by every single totalitarian regime he had ever seen.
So, what's the solution? If positive liberty is so dangerous, do we just throw it out? Well, not quite.
Berlin's conclusion is much more subtle and much more profound. He says we have to embrace a tough reality he calls value pluralism. Value pluralism is basically the idea that there is no perfect world. All the things we want in a society, liberty, equality, justice, security, they're all good things, but they often clash. You can't just maximize all of them at once. There's no single perfect answer. There are only difficult, sometimes tragic, choices and trade-offs.
And this is why this whole thing matters so much. For Berlin, the safest, most humane society isn't one that tries to force one correct vision of the good life onto everybody. No, it's a society that fiercely protects negative liberty, that bubble of non-interference, so that each and every one of us has the space to figure out these hard trade-offs for ourselves. And this amazing quote really captures his final thought. Being a civilized person isn't about knowing you have the one and only true answer. It's about being able to stand up for what you believe in with all your heart, while at the same time understanding that other good people might believe in completely different, conflicting things, and that their values might be just as valid as yours.
And that really leaves us with a question that sits at the very heart of our own politics right now. Whenever we argue about public health rules, or taxes, or what should be allowed online, what we're really arguing about is this exact trade-off. How much of that private sphere, that freedom from interference, are we willing to give up to achieve some collective good, some positive liberty? It's that difficult, tragic choice that Berlin says we can never, ever escape.